Luke.
Really?
I might be able to.
Well, I can't.
You good, Michelle? Chris, are you ready?
Yeah.
Jeremy can't. Call the meeting to order at Smontcalm County Board of Commissioners, regular meeting for Monday, June 6th. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Vice Chairman Mahar, please.
Please remain standing. I'd like to welcome Pastor Paul Arnold from First Baptist Church in Stanton. He's going to give a prayer before the meeting.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we've just said the pledge to our flag, and we thank you that we are under your authority and that we offer justice for all. And I just pray today for these commissioners as they take up the business of the county, and decisions that they make would be in the best interests of the citizens of our county. We would certainly think of those who have lost loved ones through stabbings and shootings, and I just pray that somehow people would understand that families are terribly affected by these terrible crimes. So we commit this day to you and thank you for the fact that we do live in a country where we have freedom of speech. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Roll call.
Baker,
Present.
Johnston,
Here.
Peterson,
Yes, ma'am.
Painter,
Yes, ma'am.
Mahar,
Here.
Carr,
Yes.
Cone.
And we have a quorum. I don't have anything to add to the agenda. Does anyone else?
Mr. Chair.
I would move to approve our agenda as presented.
Support.
Been moved and supported to approve the agenda as presented. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Everyone have a copy of the meeting minutes of the last meeting, May 22nd?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Johnston.
I would move to approve our minutes from May 22nd, 2024 as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the minutes of the last meeting, May 22nd, 2024 as presented. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public comments. Hearing no public comments, Vice Chairman Mahar with tonight's correspondence, please.
All right. Item 1 on page 7, you'll see a request to reappoint John Cronick to the Mid-State Health Network Substance Use Disorder Oversight Policy Board. John has been serving in this capacity, but his term expires August 31 of this year. If we were to move to reappoint him, his term would go until August 31st of 2027. I'll move to approve the appointment of John Cronick on the Substance Use Disorder Oversight Policy Board with the term to expire August 31st of 2027.
Support.
And moved and supported to appoint John Cronick to the Substance Use Disorder Oversight Policy Board with a term to expire August 31st, 2027. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item number 2 on page 8, also dealing with the Mid-State Health Network Substance Use Disorder Oversight Policy Board, has to do with appointing me as an alternate due to the updated intergovernmental contract. This is required to have an alternate. I am willing to fill the position. I can make a motion with myself, right? I'll move to approve the appointment of Charlie Mahar as the alternate for the Substance Use Disorder Oversight Policy Board with the term to expire December 31st, 2024.
Or
Been moved and supported to appoint Charlie Mahar as the alternate for the Substance Use Disorder Oversight Policy Board, term ending December 31st, 2024. Discussion. If there's no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item 3, pages 9 through 21. You will see a proposed annual implementation plan from the AAAWM, the Area Agency of Aging of Western Michigan. They are a funding source for Commission on Aging, as most of us know. Looks like if we're good with this, we just need to, I'll move to approve the proposed annual implementation plan for 2025.
support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the annual implementation plan for area agency for fiscal year 2025. Discussion. Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item number 4 on page 22, you'll see a desired motion from Brenda. Brenda would like to allow for some marijuana money disbursement. Looks like this year we have received $413,604.45. In total, we received $894,012.03. We dispersed $200 of that, $200,000 of that, and we're looking to disperse another $200,000 in $50,000 increments to Crystal Township, City of Stanton, Village of Edmore, and to drug court.
So the drug court's really the one that I'm focused on. I guess it's up to you, your opinion on the others. I kind of just did what we did last year.
Do you think that Crystal Township could use that for a zoning administrator? Or no?
Certainly
Towards the
could.
park.
I mean, I would think so.
So it's up to you. I'm really just focused on the drug court one because I think we need to continue to fund that annually as long as we get this marijuana money. Otherwise, at some point in time, we'll have to fund it with other means. So, but I guess it's up to you. Those 3 entities were the reason we received the money again.
I think we've discussed it last year, and it's just a reward for them allowing this tax revenue to come into the county. I mean, I don't see it being a problem. It sounds like Greenville might go the same route. We can do the same thing with them.
They get a like amount from the state as well, right?
Do, yes. So Crystal Township received $118,000. The Village of Edmore received $118,000.
So if the logic from the state was that those funds were needed in those places, why would they give the county a equal share?
And the City of Stanton got 177.
Is it possible, feasible that the fallout from that extends more farther than just the entities that host it? And that's the reason the county gets a take of it too. Should the county's money be spread out to a bigger audience than just those 4 people that are getting a like amount as well?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
it seems to me like, I'm not sure the amount for the drug court is sufficient. Maybe that needs to be raised. That I don't know the answer, yes or no, but I mean, if there's plenty of money there, that would be the obvious one to bump up, I would think. And like you say, it's very possible that some of the other communities would appreciate some from the same fund.
Yeah, I know in my request last year, I had also requested $40,000 for the SUDET collaboratives, which there's 4 of them, so that was $10,000 a piece. But somebody didn't follow through on what he was supposed to do, so they never got it. So I don't know.
What is the reason the state gives the money to any of us?
It's
Tax
tax
revenue.
money. It's tax
So what do
revenue.
they give it back? What
I think
anticipating
that was
what?
I think that was part of the gig when all of this came to fruition was if you install these dispensaries, then we'll give you a little bit of tax money kickback to,
Incentive to allow it.
yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as with the green renewable energies they're talking about. There's going to be kickbacks from that to municipalities that allow it. I just think it's something, it's an incentive to allow this stuff. I think we're going to see it start to dwindle down because I don't think we're going to be able to sustain this many
Is there
dispensaries, but
problems associated with it? Is there crime? Is there anything else, that way that would?
I mean, I believe just from what I've read that it's essentially the same as alcohol. I mean, kids are getting a hold of it through
Yeah.
whatever channels they're getting it from. I don't know as if that's in our purview. I guess last year when we set it up like this, it was just, hey, these people are the ones that are getting us this money. Let's give it back to them and let them do what they want.
Yeah, I remember that. And I think that was fair. I just don't know in perpetuity if we continue to give them a like amount back after they've already got their cut. The cut going to the county is, I'm just wondering if that's intended for a bigger audience than just going back to the
Yeah.
host communities, I guess. I don't know.
I don't think the state gave us any intent or it's gonna up to us to spend it how we see fit.
I don't think another year of doing it this way is going to hurt us. So I just
I know we-
wonder if there's a bigger conversation to be had about it at some point.
And I feel like we're utilizing our opioid money responsibly there for that fight. So we don't really need more monies there.
Yeah.
Right now.
Okay, that's all I had. Any other discussion?
Only to follow up with a sufficient amount for the drug court. I don't know how much it takes to run that properly, but nobody from that operation is here, so.
I think they're happy to get whatever they can get, whatever we're wanting to give.
I guess I just wondered if they could legitimately use more, that's all.
Yeah.
I think that would be something to ask them. And if they said, yeah, we could use another 50,000, this isn't a once a year allocation. We can spend this money whenever we want.
Right.
Right.
If you wanted to reach out to them and say, hey, what do you think you need to run the drug court? Then come back with it and say, this is how much they want. Okay, let's go from there.
I can tell you what their budget has amounted to the last couple of years. Because we moved them out of the general fund and created their own independent fund a couple years back. I don't think it's a ton of money, but I don't know if maybe they could use more. So they build a budget of just $7,500 every year.
So the 50,000 is covering their costs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This year so far they've spent 12.8, so I'll have to budget adjust to bump that number up. So it is.
I have the same wonderings that Chairman Carr does. These municipalities are seeing their tax benefit directly. I'm not sure why we are then taking our tax benefit and giving them half of ours. It doesn't make sense to me. There has to be some fallout from the amount of marijuana use that's going on in our community, especially with our youth. And so while I'm not against the marijuana law, I mean, it's probably done what it's designed to do. It's brought in some extra tax dollars and taken it off of law enforcement's plate. But I do think that these dollars should be used more in the area of type drug court type stuff to fund some things that can help maybe some of our youth that are struggling with, marijuana use and such.
Do you have a specific spot that you'd like to see it go?
I don't.
Well, you're gonna have that veterans court thing coming.
But if we're gonna go down, what avenue are we gonna go down? The veterans or the youth, or just marijuana enforcement?
I don't know. That even has to be marijuana enforcement. It can be for the betterment of the community based
okay
on
with
that.
I feel like we're just gonna sit on this money until we need it. We don't have to give it to anybody. I couldn't care less. I just thought last year we did this because they were the first ones in and they received a reward for doing it. But we don't have to give away that 150. I don't think they're budgeting for it.
No.
But I don't believe we need to go outside of the bounds of, well, Montcalm Township needs 50,000 because Crystal Township got it. That just seems silly.
I agree.
So we're going to start funding programs that we don't have.
Well, I'm just wondering if that's not a conversation to have with John Cronick and say, is there a place that you think this would be well used?
He'll find a place for it.
I'm sure, but at least, I mean, it's not gonna be any worse used than Stanton or Crystal probably.
Excellent.
Well, I know Crystal's got a park they're trying to build. City of Stanton's trying to fund their fire department. Last I knew, Village of Edmore, I don't know. They could always use money. It just is what it is. I don't care.
Like I said, I'm on the fence too. The only one I would like to do something for is the drug court fund. I want to keep them propped up every year.
Like I said, I'm not gonna vote against it for those other three tonight, but I think it's a conversation that needs to happen for the future. And if we decided not to do it on those other three, I'd be fine with that too, but not necessarily trying to kick over the motion on this tonight, but I think we need a broader conversation on the use of it in the future.
Do you want to table it?
Oh. Chris, you got an opinion on this one?
Well, I was looking, when I read this the other night, I was thinking the same thing that Commissioner Baker was saying. I was thinking maybe we do 100,000 with the drug court, and I can be on board with the rest of the suggestions here. But now if the drug court we're funding them already, the 50,000 is covering their budget.
Yeah.
I would just like to see the money go towards, drug abuse type things and stuff like that.
Maybe moving forward, we can revisit this in the future, but I'll make the motion is what it is, but maybe if we just keep it top of mind, maybe do it different next year. I'll move to approve the distribution of 200,000 of the marijuana revenue as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the distribution of 200,000 of the marijuana revenue as presented. Discussion. If there's no more discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried.
All right, item number 5, warrant report. Pages 23 through 31, warrant report 05302024 in the amount of $196,828.86. Item 6, pages 32 through 45, warrant report 06062024 in the amount of $195,970.05. And number 7, pages 46 through 67, is warrant report 06102024 in the amount of $616,816.22. All three warrant reports total $1,009,615.13. I will move to approve all three warrant reports as presented.
Support.
It's been moved and supported to approve the 3 warrant reports. Help me with the number, Charlie. $1,009,615.13.
Yep.
Okay. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
The consent agenda are items 8 through 11. I'll move to place those on file.
Support.
Then moved and supported to place items 8 through 11 of the consent agenda on file. Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Items 12 through 15, information only. You'll find 2 resolutions from Lake County on items 16 and 17. That'll end your board correspondence.
Thank you, Vice Chairman Mahar. Next is committee reports. We don't have anything. New business, item 1, clerk correspondence. Item 2, controller correspondence.
Just a few questions. Anybody have any policy updates in those policy manuals? We'll be bringing those soon.
I had just a couple of housekeeping issues. I'll have to look. Mine are at home. I marked it up. It was just use, something that we don't, maybe it was the references to the finance committee action
Okay,
on
yeah,
certain
we're going,
things. You're
yeah,
doing
we're
all
catching
those
those, yep.
anyway. Yeah.
The only one I thought of is, Adam, you had voiced an interest in having an employee return policy.
Mhm.
So do you want to enlighten me on what you think that should look like?
Well, I just think it's just one of those things that we've dealt with twice now, or one very publicly. I just think there needs to be a policy in place as far as what it looks like if you leave for over 30 days. You don't either. I don't know. We say you don't get vacation back, or you do get vacation back. I mean, it's just so we don't have to sit here and
Mhm.
kick it back and forth with the director or the department head, or
Yeah.
I mean, it just seems like that should be spelled out at least somewhere. But if we want to leave it the way it is,
So do you want me to, I guess I'm asking, do you want me to put some parameters? Do you want me to come up with that policy and then you guys tweak it?
I wouldn't know what I wouldn't know what parameters to put on there. So I guess whatever you would think would be fair, but I just don't want to create a revolving door is all.
Mhm. And then while I was at conference, they suggested that we do incorporate an AI policy or AI wording into our IT policy. The use of AI by employees. So that'll probably be something I reach out to legal on to see what they've been doing and what they suggest. And then I had a director point out that we have no requirements as far as 2 weeks notice or 1 month's notice on when people are leaving. Is that something you're interested in doing? We never have said that. We just expect people will do that, but sometimes they don't.
What is our recourse?
0. We pay out their vacation pay. The only recourse, I think we have wording in there that says if they don't leave on good terms with at least 8 or 10 years of employment, they don't get a 50% payout on their sick time. But if they retire or leave on good terms, then they get that 50% payout on sick time, and then all their vacation accrual paid out.
Have you ever not paid it?
Have we ever not paid? So like if someone gets terminated, yeah, we don't pay
Yes.
it. I mean, we've had that policy a long time.
But if someone were to not give you 2 weeks notice, you wouldn't do it.
We've always done it. There's no, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So they're leaving on good terms.
It's
Well-
just the sick time when it has the good terms language tied to it. Vacation, whatever's in their bank they get. Is our
But if
policy.
someone leaves, doesn't give us 2 weeks notice, you don't hold them.
Mm-mm,
So
we pay it.
Charlie's
It-
answer is really, there's no
No, not
recourse,
really.
right?
Not really, not on the vacation. And my response to was, well, we're a public employer, we like to think that our benefits are a little bit better, or there's a perk for working here, but that director didn't agree with that. So,
I don't think it hurts to have something in there like a 2-week notice policy. I think that's pretty standard anymore.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
think it hurt.
all right, we'll see what I can come up with there. Any other ideas? I know Phil was working on something too, but I haven't heard anything from him.
He's busy picking blueberries.
And then the cell tower lady reached out again.
I'm sorry.
Did she tell us that us not accepting it wasn't acceptable?
Yeah.
Us not accepting, her not accepting
She
wasn't
wants to know if
acceptable?
$650 a month rather than $500 would sweeten the pot to make it happen. But she doesn't know if she can even do that yet.
I think we're
'Cause
trying to deal with someone that doesn't have the authority to make a deal.
I know, it sounds like it, doesn't
I
it?
think it's a third party is what it is.
That's what
I think these
Yeah.
third party brokers go around and and find these contracts and contact the company and say, hey, we'll see if we can get this extended for a minimal amount of money. You
She
pay
an
us.
employee of American Tower?
Yes, Verizon owns the tower. They just manage the tower. This American Tower cell.
But American Tower essentially is they're the guys with the sign on it and they're climbing it and it's
Yeah.
their, but I guess you could,
Is she from American Tower or just says she's with American Tower?
The shit says on her email
her
that
stuff
she's
will
employee of
indicate
theirs.
she is.
It's just a weird
She
deal.
just doesn't work legal. Legal's the one that shot her down. Well, and they shot her down on her offer of 1,000 based on the equipment we have there, which is just a dipole and a cable or something. So that's their argument that they don't want to give us the $1,000 a month, but they'd give us 500.
But it was their offer.
I know. I told her that. I said they weren't too pleased with your counter offer to your initial offer. So
Well, we got 6 years to think about it.
yeah,
I
let me
think the
let me respond to that.
the
confession.
hurry's over now.
Talk to
Okay.
you in 2029.
I'll let her know that then. Oh,
We got
Anything
turned down
else?
again. Oh, no.
what's that?
How you handle it if we got turned down again?
I don't know. We'll just give it a pass. Pass it on to somebody else. No, I don't think I have anything else.
Okay. Number 3, chair board correspondence. I've got one. I spoke with the drain commissioner this afternoon about the Parker Arts request and he enlightened me on a few things that I don't think I knew from the last meeting's discussion. I invited him to come today. If anyone is of the mind to hear more information of that, he's willing and able to give it to us. So
Are we revisiting what we already did?
essentially, I guess, if you're interested in knowing more about what we did, if you're not up for that, then I guess we don't have to.
Yeah, if there's missing information, it'd be foolish not to find out what that is.
The information that he gave me was stuff that I wasn't aware of when I voted last time, and I thought everyone else maybe would be interested in hearing that particular side of it.
I don't mean this the way it sounds, but where were you last meeting?
Come on up, Todd.
Last meeting, I was the same place that Phil is, right? We have other lives. My son was playing his last baseball game, so I
You were
couldn't make
picking
it.
Blueberry too?
No, but the
Oh.
point is that this isn't the only thing that we have going in our lives.
I agree with you.
Okay, so when I don't hear about
How
something,
about you
till-
just tell us about the Parker and Art stuff?
well, when I don't hear about something till the very day it's happening, it's pretty hard to reroute my lifestyle around that. So
How about you just tell us about the Parker and Art
I
stuff?
will. So I explained the process. That's a lot. I explained the process to Brenda and what information, and Brenda and I were involved in a lot of the communications beforehand. So this stuff kind of got out there already. At the time that the project was bid, the architect, the engineering firm, myself, Doug Geetson, Eric, the EMS director, we were all involved in this. With our experience in construction and projects and stuff, with us as a tax exempt entity, we provided a cut and dry document right in their bid packet that said, this is a tax exempt project. Sales tax needs not to be included. It was as cut and dry. It wasn't a misinformation between Horn Construction and Parker Arts. It wasn't anything other than that. Not until 2 years went by did an audit take place to Parker Arts, which you know about. And through that process, when we had said, hey, we will provide the form, you can send us ours, we fill out whatever. It's the same way we handle all purchases for everything else. The enlightening part of it was that the Treasury informed us that the only thing that we're really truly tax exempt from is if we purchase the products and install the products ourselves. The mind-boggling part is that a building constructed for our own use doesn't qualify. She used a case in point. A church is a tax exempt entity. When a church is built, the only portion of the construction project that is totally tax exempt is the sanctuary. If they build a recreational room or a meeting hall or basketball courts, whatever, those are not tax exempt, just the sanctuary. So when we provided the form that we provided to all other projects, that got shot back, said, hey, that doesn't meet the requirements. It's this form. When Amber and myself and Brenda attempted to fill that out, none of the boxes that we checked, the Treasury felt like we fit in those boxes. So ultimately, the Treasury put the responsibility on Parker Arntz to say, I guess shame on you. You should know better that this doesn't meet the requirements. The only real reason that the Treasury discussed anything with Brenda and myself was because Parker Arntz was on the Zoom call with us. So we were using it as more of a, wow, this is really surprising that a tax run, county use building and structure for their own use, that another tax run entity is looking for the sales tax from that taxes. It begins to really muddy the water. So I guess ultimately, I'm not saying that there isn't, I guess, some responsibility for all contractors to know the laws that they're expected to be held between, but we sure provided them with the information to believe that this was a tax exempt project. Case in point, we've done rooftop units, we've done concrete projects, we've done numerous things around here in the last 3 to 4 years. And I specifically spoke with the maintenance director and said, how do you present those? He said the exact same way. We always tell them Montcalm County is a tax exempt. If you would like the form, you can have it. If you want me to send yours, I will fill it out. So I feel like we've been potentially offering up misinformation for a period of time. And I think this is just a situation where if it wasn't for the audit of Parker Arntz, we wouldn't have learned this, neither would they.
I'm going to argue that point with you because I disagree. We don't give any of our project people on my side of the fence and Doug's side of the fence a tax exempt form. The only people we give tax exempt forms to are persons we're buying product directly from, because that's all that's tax exempt for us. So we're not putting that form in our bid packet and we're not supplying it to them on our end. So we aren't misleading anyone.
So when Doug
On our
tells somebody like Hearst Mechanical and says Montcalm County is a tax exempt entity, we just say, well, you guys do with it what you want.
They are working their tax into their project cost. They can't show a tax on the bill they give us. So they're working it into their project.
I do understand that. But when we provide a specific form, when we provide a specific document saying that Montcalm County and this project is tax exempt, that's all I'm saying. The form that we provide, we provide that if they ask for it or not.
Tax exempt. Montcalm County is tax exempt. You got to choose your wording
I
carefully.
understand that. So I guess what I'm saying is if there's a fault here, it's mine, it's Eric's, it's Doug's, it's those of us, it's LRE, it's the architects, it's those of us that put the project together under the idea that a building being constructed for Montcalm County's use would be tax exempt.
We were purchasing the materials directly.
Not directly. If we purchase the materials and we give it to a contractor, it still doesn't meet that. Their requirement is to then provide usage tax on top of it. We had that discussion with the Treasury and they said, hey, this has been that way for 25 years. Lots of people don't know that. And I had this situation, I've had this come up lots of times in my background in my previous jobs, but in those situations, we never built a structure or installed a county drain or correction of building that was specifically for the tax exempt entity. We were building it through them. We were installing pipe that was purchased through the Drain Commission that was being installed out in a public infrastructure facility, those types of things.
The part that I found interesting when Todd explained it to me was that we gave them a letter up front telling them.
We didn't.
We did.
Todd,
They did.
well,
They're
when
an
I say
extension
we,
of us.
Yeah.
I'm saying the county, an extension of us. Maybe the controller's office didn't, the board of
We know
commissioners
about it.
didn't, but the people at Montcalm County hiring contractors gave them the wrong information, Todd
Mhm.
Me included. Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
believes.
Mhm.
So that changed it for me, I guess. I don't know how everyone else feels, but
Is it safe to assume those letters are not going out with bid packages?
It's not a letter. It's part of the contract documents. There was a sheet in there where we clarified because during the pre-bid meeting, it was asked, hey, do we include sales tax such and such? Hey, we'll clarify that in the bid addendum. Montcalm County is a tax exempt entity. Tax don't need to be provided. That is what we put right in there. So it's not just an open letter that goes out to everything that gets bid.
But you're saying that this particular company misconstrued that letter?
No, I wouldn't even put the burden on them. I would put the burden on me. I would put the burden on those of us that were the panel or the people that were being involved to do that. you have a handful of people that have been involved in building and construction for a while, and this didn't raise an alarm. And I spoke with the maintenance director not 15 minutes ago. We still feel the same way. We still are, I shouldn't say still, but even now, that's the same feeling that, wow, we have been kind of informing people, possibly inadvertently, that they need to kind of do their own research, I guess. Really, that's really how it should be said, is that, hey, because ultimately when you read these documents, what we provide, you know, if I go and I purchase pipe for our own use, I send this to our pipe supplier. Here's that stuff. Totally fine. When we provided that to the Treasury on their behalf for the stuff, they sent over a very different form, and it had a whole bunch of different stuff. It was looking if you were a quality air pollution control facility, were you a nonprofit hospital, you know, were you a church sanctuary, were you constructing a qualified convention facility or a qualified nonprofit housing, and the one that we thought would be was a qualified business activity, but you had to look up what MCL 205 and change was, and it required it to be in a, what is the name of the zone? An enterprise or Renaissance. You had to be in a Renaissance zone. That was the only thing that qualifies. So it's a preset area of the county that is construction and that takes place as tax exemption.
That was the form that Parker Arntz was using to try to.
This is what the Treasury
Yeah.
gave to Parker Arntz, because it says right on it,
we
Michigan
qualify.
sales and use tax contractor eligibility statement. This is what a contractor is supposed to say, hey, please fill this out. This is how I know that your project really is tax exempt.
So the part last time that we kind of cut to was that we didn't even hire Parker Arntz, that they were a subcontractor, that John Horn was the general and he hired them and whatever else. And so it was easy to shift it off and say, it's not on us. But I think the new information that we're sending out a bid packet explaining to people that Montcalm County is a tax exempt entity and don't worry about tax, when if they would have given us the bid for that stuff 6% higher, we weren't going to kick it over. We were going forward with it. In my mind,
We didn't see the bid. There was no 6%, nothing. We didn't see any of
we
it.
saw the total, and if their total price would have been 6% higher, I doubt that
You
we were
would have
gonna
never
say,
known it.
We can't afford it. We were committed and going forward, weren't we?
I don't remember seeing anything outside of this is how much it's going to cost.
That's what I mean. But
So-
if they would have included that, if we wouldn't have given them the information that they didn't have to include tax and the number was higher, we would have went along with it. I contend. We
So-
weren't gonna say, no, we can't afford it.
And that's, and I don't disagree with you, but again, it comes back down to where is this the board's fault? Where is this the county taxpayers' fault?
I don't know that it's the fault. I don't know that it's anyone's fault. It was a mistake that was made. Todd, Eric, and Doug didn't willingly mislead Parker Arntz to try and avoid paying the tax. Parker Arntz didn't not pay it because they were trying to get out of paying it or cheat the government or whatever else. It just happened. Nobody understood and honestly, the way it's explained to me, I don't think that's my understanding of how that had worked or how we had interpreted it in the past. So now we've got a local company or two in Montcalm County that's on the hook for this. We're giving back marijuana money to places that are getting their own marijuana money. And then we're telling local businesses that we can't make this situation right with them. I just think that it needs to be considered to be made right.
I think we did consider it last time.
No, not with the same information, I guess. I believe this is new information that we misled them at bid time, that we knew something that they didn't, and they didn't have to pay that or apply it. And so, I don't know.
How much were we involved in that bid process? Did the LRE or someone handle that whole? I was thinking the architect or somebody else handled that. The bid
No,
process.
I mean, I guess we were pretty involved. I mean, it was myself and I didn't physically type up the bid documents, obviously, but it's a pretty standard contract. And the bid was offered up to numerous subcontractors and stuff. You know, it's a published thing.
I remember attending the bid meeting, the pre-bid meeting.
Yep.
But that's all I remember ever seeing.
After the pre-bid meeting, there really is just the bid opening, and anybody who chose to download or take the stuff or request the plans and stuff, they just show up for a public bid opening at 10 o'clock, I think it was, at whatever that day was. They turn in their forms, and at 10:01, we tear the pages open and we read them aloud and see who the low bidder is. That breakdown, there is not a breakdown for materials and all that stuff on there. It is a lump sum price of a project. You're right. You would never see the sales tax. If John would have been 6% higher, so would have been RBC Construction, so would have been TA Builders, it would have been Unimanis across
This
the
is an
board.
issue simply because Parker Arts got chosen for an audit.
Bingo. And, on a backstory,
Had they not been chosen. we
had they
would-
not been chosen, we would have never known. And my fear in this deal is it's kind of a slippery slope, right? That I don't know how far back you want to wind down, but I guess at the end of the day is I wanted to make sure that you guys understood that I feel that myself and as an extension of the county, we are ultimately responsible that we led these people to believe that. Now, if it would have never got caught, you're right. It is what it is. And like, I don't think anybody knowingly done that. And clearly the Treasury didn't feel that way neither, because it's not like there's penalties associated with this. It is the tax and the small interest over the delayed time frame of $300 and some dollars. It was a small amount of their interest. But I just feel like it's the right thing to do. And furthermore, Parker Arts has been above rapport on this. They provided exact documentation. It is not like they just miraculously said, here's an invoice. We have no idea what there really was. They provided the exact voucher that the state sent to them. They provided a breakdown based on the quantities and their stuff of how the state came to reach those dollars amounts.
True.
Commissioner, Vice Chairman Mahar.
To me, this is about just doing the right thing. I mean, they obviously put a bid in based on what they thought us being tax exempt. We've got an honest drain commissioner here telling us that it was an honest mistake, that they also interpreted the law that way and provided them information as such, or at least information that they believed was accurate that was interpreted wrong. So I think with this new information, it does change my vote.
I think it's also worth noting that tax exempt projects are not a very common thing to most contractors. Think about the limited number of construction projects being created or built by tax exempt entities. With the exception of agricultural, there's not a lot of that. So I have a hard time. I want to say, well, you should know better, but I think she said they went through our books. I think she said we've only done like 4 or 5 tax exempt projects in the last 20 some years. It's just not a thing that you would automatically say, oh, yep, we're building for the county. This is what it is.
And I guess I'm a little surprised that anyone but my office was giving out those tax exempt forms. I thought my office was the only one doing that. So if
Well,
Doug's doing it, I would be surprised.
I'm not here to speak on what Doug's passing out for a form. I am telling you that I physically spoke to him, and he is verbally telling the people, whether they say, here's the form, you can fill it out, or whether he says, if you want to tag that form, I have no idea what they're doing, so I don't want to interject for that. But I do know that we have led other projects on the same belief that they do not need to include sales tax. I don't want to read into it how the Treasury would see those situations, but you do a $3.5 million Hearst Mechanical for rooftop units, there's not a boatload of wages on that. So that's an awful lot of materials that got purchased. Maybe they included it, maybe they didn't. I don't know. But I think that the best bet is going forward, and whether that's just how it works as we do it in the county, is we just say, hey, we're just going to say, hey, you bid a project, you do your research, you figure out what you want to do in regards to taxes. And every one of them is going to just roll them in there because they're not going to want to take the chance of not having it covered.
So just to boil it down, in your opinion, it's a county business that Montcalm County misled. Is that true?
That's how I feel.
Can I see that paper again that you said was sent to
The one that was in the bid.
just hold it up. I don't need to see it. I just need to see. Yeah, that letterhead says LRE on it, correct?
Sure.
Okay. So how again does that fall back on us with us not sending that out unless you send it to those architects and they send it out?
So LRE is the engineer that put together the bid pack that handled this. I have a lot of local involvement in the community, so I really didn't want to have this to look like Todd Sattler was building a project with Horn Construction or with RBC or TA Builders. So we thought it best to have some level of separation and to hire somebody to do all the civil work, to do all the compaction testings, the soils, the inspections, all the paperwork, the as-builds, and to take care of that stuff so that it was above rapport on how all this was being handled. Remember when this project got built, this was all through ARPA stuff. So there thought at the time that there was going to be a lot of involvement with that. So an architect was hired to design the interior parts of the project, and a civil engineer was hired to design the site of the project and then to handle the pay applications, to handle the contractual stuff so that this didn't fall back on just he said, she said.
I think what he's getting at though is how come LRE sent that out? Why didn't they know that? He's saying, why is it Montcalm? Where is it that you?
Why isn't the LRE shouldn't know better?
Or where is it that you told anybody they were if LRE sent all that out, how are you on the hook for giving them that message?
Because I'm telling you that I'm sitting here telling you that I told LRE that Montcalm County is a tax exempt entity. And when the builders say, hey, do we need to include taxes? Because that is a thing that people understand. We said, well, I guess, Eric, what do you think? And Doug, what do you think? Geez, we're building a building for Montcalm County to use. I think we should be tax exempt.
I'm just is that what you were getting at?
Yeah, I guess in my mind, now that we've come across this microscope that we've been put under for the next 5 years with the state of Michigan, coming out of the same office, now we're going to be looked at a lot closer, and now we're making this a bigger issue than it was before in front of the paper. I'm sure this will be a follow-up article. We'll just have to hope that nobody at the state level reads the newspaper, because then they'll say, oh, well, maybe they have this whole project. There's going to be all kinds of audits going on. It just seems like this could have been left alone, but I feel like, everybody's saying this is the right thing to do. I don't believe that. This is not our problem. This was caused by a certain amount of people.
They work for the county.
Absolutely. But it's the second problem we've had in the last 2 months.
I will say that when I brought this last time, I was in favor of doing something and I indicated that to Todd in an email exchange we had that day, and he did let me know that he couldn't make it because his child had a ball game that he needed to be at.
I'm just saying it would have been nice to know all of this before.
I agree. I provided what I could to Brenda at the time. I can't be here for all the stuff, especially if I don't know that we're going to discuss something about this until that day. I mean, if on a Wednesday you get your packet and you say, hey, I'm curious to know what's going on, and you want to call over there and say, hey, Todd, can you plan on being there? Or can anybody let me know more than a few hours ahead of time? I hate reading about it in the paper after it happened as much as anybody, especially when it's then, this is what he said he did.
Well, and to that, I'll just say Parker Arntz didn't ask me anything. I simply offered to ask to see if we could help him out after that Zoom meeting we had.
I agree. I think you
vacation.
handled it properly. This
So-
isn't a debate about that.
Yeah,
I think Parker Arntz thought if this works out, hey, if they do the right thing, great. If not, I guess we just took it right on the chin.
and she checked in with me 2 weeks ago and said, hey, how what'd you find out? And I said, I'm sorry, the board voted not to do it. They thought it was John Horn issue rather than us. And she said, thank you for trying.
And then you can imagine who she called afterwards. No, not me. Called Horn Construction, who then called me and said,
But the
hey,
part that was left out 2 weeks ago in my mind was the fact that any representative of Montcalm County told people involved in this that they didn't have to do that. That's the part that I think puts us on the hook for some relief. And I didn't know that 2 weeks ago.
And I wasn't trying to keep that from you.
No, I'm not.
I wasn't part of that bid process, so I didn't know what they were given until this all came
Well,
about. But
The fact of the matter is, in most circumstances, we're probably not going to know about it because we're not going to have a stand-up guy like Todd come forward and basically own it. And I just really appreciate Todd's honesty. Like, this is the second time where he's just been up here, been very upfront with us, basically taking responsibility for a situation. And you don't always get that.
Well,
So-
he's owning something that maybe isn't even his to own. I think
Right.
what he's talking about being his potential fault, or he and Eric, that's how how we've been
Right.
doing business.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's Todd. I'm just saying he's also want to say, hey, they got that information from us.
Yeah. So what's your pleasure?
Let's fix it.
I'll, Chairman, I'm gonna make a motion.
Have we technically got to
Bring it
make a
back.
motion to reconsider? Is that going to be the motion? So it's got to be somebody on the
All
prevailing
you did
side?
was place it on file. You took no action.
Took no action. Simple enough. Okay. Vice Chairman Lahar.
I will move to reimburse or pay Parker Arntz $11,780. Included in that would be interest of $366.
Added to that,
Correct.
okay.
For a total of $12,146 for a misunderstanding that had to do with was this the pandemic preparation?
Credit readiness.
Pandemic readiness building?
12,176.
176.
176 for a total of 1,176.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Do you have it, Chris?
Oh, close enough, yeah. Phil.
That's what I was just coming
Can you-
back
can
to.
you
I pulled it up
jumbo
once
that?
already for him.
Charlie's exact wording, but basically to reimburse Parker Arntz the $12,176 for the tax exempt
Yeah, that's right.
Misunderstanding?
misunderstanding of the pandemic readiness building, as pointed out by the auditors, state of Michigan auditors. Discussion. Hearing no discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right.
Motion carried. I don't have anything else correspondence wise. Anybody else on the board?
Mr. Chairman.
Yep.
We failed to do this last year, but we need to give in the spirit of audit, we need to give our county controller an evaluation. We promised to do that every year. We didn't do it last year. I know I'm not the vice chair, but we need to get this on the calendar. I don't know if we want to do this before a meeting, after a meeting. I know Brenda has the option to bring it in closed session if she wants to. What's everybody's thoughts on that? We don't have to if you guys don't want to. I think it shows a lot of transparency and it's good for us, but that's totally up to you guys.
What's your pleasure?
Hadn't been done for many, many years. So when I became the controller, we started doing them again, but we missed last year.
Okay.
Some counties have a controller with a 3-year contract, so it gets done every 3 years and the contract gets renegotiated. The options are a 1-year automatic renewing or a 3-year negotiated.
Okay. Do we have any sort of process in place for an evaluation?
I just did it. I'd type out however many commissioners we had, type out that amount of questions. We'd ask Brenda the questions, we'd rank them. We'd rank her performance and then at the end, give her a 1 through 5 grade.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Baker.
sounds like to me we have to add one more policy to that list that she had. And that would be to do that on a regular basis so we're consistent with it. If it's set up for 2 years or 3 years or whatever, every year might be a little much, but every 2 or 3 years probably makes sense.
I inquired about it last year, but.
I would think if she's on a one-year contract, I think it needs to be done every year. It doesn't have to be the most thorough evaluation ever done, but
But it should be a written policy. That way we would just take care of it. Or her
Something that
instructions.
you prefer?
I have no opinion either way.
I think everybody deserves feedback on their job. Deserve that.
next meeting is the 24th. After that, July 8th. After that, July 22nd.
When you were saying you prepared the questions, then we asked Brenda though, like we had an open meeting and we went around.
No, I don't think it was well, maybe it was an open
How did
meeting.
we
It's an
have-
open meeting.
How did we ask her the questions? Or
We just went 1 through, I think there was 11 commissioners at the time. We went 1 through 11 and, or 9, or I don't remember how it was, 9. It was just like a job interview.
Yeah.
What do you think you've done well? What do you think could be improved? How do you think you interact with other people? I don't remember I'm sure I got a copy in my desk still.
okay, there's probably some question or disagreement about I guess like the one we do for central dispatch, we're not asking the director questions. We've got a form in front of us that we rank her on certain criteria. So that's a different process than, this is more, I guess, more like an interview, which if that's how you want to do it, I'm just saying
I
we
don't
got
care how we do it. I'm just saying we haven't
a
done it.
process.
It doesn't make me any never mind. I just know that when we got rid of the last director, we said we're going to do these every year. We missed last year. That's all I know.
Who wants to develop a plan to evaluate the controller then, or who do you want to develop a plan?
I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to process. Give me a couple weeks and I can have something in the next meeting.
Yep, is that good enough?
And present it. See if
Fine with me.
Everybody good with Vice Chairman Mahar developing a evaluation process and bringing it to the next meeting? Okay. Anything else under Commissioner correspondence? If not, next is old business. We don't have anything, public comments.
I move to adjourn.
Support. Moved and supported to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Meeting adjourned. Baker.
Thank you.
Brenda, if you have something that boards are doing that you think is good, I think like this self-evaluation is good.
Well, that's kind